one.
All right. Welcome back everyone dito sa latest episode ng naging Quadcom -2 so far, but I'm sure we can more than compensate. Thank you so much Chris for making time for this. Alam ko, ikaw yung last nag-verify, ikaw pa yung first na pumasok dito. Talagang ganun ang Pilipinas, 'di ba? But of
Oh,
course,
diba?
yeah, it looks like there are some extraordinary conditions kaya some of our folks could not join us. But we're still hoping for Mark at least to join us in the coming minutes. Wala pang update from him. But let's get the ball rolling, Chris. Um, Chris, since last time we talked, obviously may mga developments na nangyari. Maybe we can start with the Trillanes filing of cases against Bongo and then how you read it and what's the level of discussion and debate dyan sa Pilipinas.
Where with regards to the Bongo and Trillanes filing of his case, uh, you know, Trillanes is the type of person that puts together all the evidence first, hard evidence, before he even tries to make a move or make any kind of accusation. Kasi, syempre, your credibility is on the line. Kaya importante talaga na may hawak kang resibo bago ka maggagawa ng kahit na anong mga kilos. At yun ang maganda kay Trillanes. Ngayon yung ginawa niya, yung pagsampa niya ng kaso kay Bongo, what was interesting is he had this case since before 2022. If I remember correctly, parang binanggit niya parang nung 2020 pa, 2019, alam na niya tong kasong to eh. Nakahanda na to. Problema, sinabi niya to na hindi niya tinuloy yung kaso back then because he knew that the ombudsman, dating ombudsman Martires, would actually not favor this filing of the case and ibabasura lang. And later, I'm sure we're gonna talk about how Martires has actually done that. Kaya yun ang kaya matalino si Sonny Trillanes na hindi niya sinampahan ng kaso noong panahon ni Ombudsman Martires. With regards to Bongo naman, what was interesting was kung paano niya sinagot. Hindi niya dinenay. Okay? Sinabi niya na, yung pamilya ko is into the construction business. Ang sinasabi lang niya is, wala daw siyang kinalaman dun sa pagkakuha ng mga billion-billion in contracts dahil malapit siya kay Duterte at yung pamilya niya ay nasa construction. So, you can put two and two together and decide, what do you think? Do you think ba talaga na walang tulong ang nagawa dahil kamag-anak to ni Bongo at right hand ni Duterte si Bongo? O kaya meron? At kaya kung may impropriety na nangyari sa time na yon.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for getting the ball rolling now. So in short, strategic decision ni ni Trillanes, and now he sees that finally may legit na ombudsman and he could act upon it. So timing matters, no? Mark, can we go back to it? Kasi before we talk about your Magalong interview, I think
Yes.
talagang top podcaster in the country talaga. But before we go there, balikan natin yung second episode mo bago natin pag-usapan third episode mo. With Senator Trillanes, what is your read of his decision to take Bongo to ombudsman and also sumite siya ng mga ebidensya sa ICI din, no? And of course, all of this, the stakes are higher dahil magiging public na ang ICI ngayon. Although some senators, I think Sherwin among others, were not very happy about this. Siguro ang concern din nila magiging Zarzuela, but let's have the discussion later on. Ikaw,
Netflix.
Mark, can you give us the lay of the land?
Siguro para gagawin ni Sentry, parang all sides coming yung kaso eh. Parang hindi nila alam sa merong ICC looming in the background, tapos merong mga kaso nga, like Chris Tan said, he took the opportunity ngayon na gumagalaw na yung mga kaso. Nangyari 'di ba yung kay Martires ba nung yung ginawa sa ano niya, yung ginawa sa final niya sa DOJ. Parang si Jess yata yung nabasa ko nag-post nun. Parang di ba? Parang inano sa ombudsman. So ngayon merong chance si Sentry to finally have an ombudsman na titingin doon sa kaso, titingin doon sa and ayun, ako optimistic ako dito kay Boying na ano, he will run after itong mga corrupt na politiko. And ano nga, like I said nga ano parang nare-realize ka natin gaano ka-powerful pala yung posisyon ng ombudsman. Kasi nung kay Martires, parang hindi mo maramdaman na very powerful yung pwesto. Tapos nagrereklamo nga tayo, walang politikong nakukulong, walang ano. So ito na yung chance nga kay Boying Remulla dito sa kinaso ni Sentry. And itong mga kaso niya, di ba? Ilang taon na niyang hawak yung mga ebidensya eh. Talagang how many years kinompile niya lahat yung mga ebidensya, tsaka yung mga lahat ng kailangan para doon. And yun nga, believe din ako kay Sentry pagdating sa patience niya. Yung mga moves niya, calculated lahat. At ngayon na nga, now's the chance nga para para gamitin na yung mga hawak niyang baraha.
Yeah, I mean, going back to this, Mark, before I return to Chris also to add on this issue. Obviously, I think Senator Trillanes is confident that there's also an ICC angle, hindi lang ICI, no? Na baka Bongo could also face warrant of arrest on that. Hindi kaya tinetiming niya kasi alam niya pwede niya i-double whammy, triple whammy si Bongo. Kung ano ba to? 2-3 punch ba sabay? Combo ba ito?
Oo, parang parang hindi mo alam kung saan ba manggagaling yung suntok o yung atake sa At siguro syempre sa kampo din ni Senator Bongo, hindi din niya ano ba unahin natin? Ito bang sa ICC ba? Itong sa ICI, itong sa ombudsman. Kaya lang na sooner or later justice will come up to you eh. Na kahit na pagtakpan mo, lalabas at lalabas pa rin yung yung totoo at yung hustisya.
Right. Chris, I want to go back to you. So, ano yun? Parang double whammy, triple punch, combo. Because Bongo, like number one in the Senate, very sikat, very powerful, ganon. Now, is he looking vulnerable to you all of a sudden?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now talaga, like even with ano sinabi ni Mark ano, na tungkol sa ICC din, on top of the charges he's facing with the ICI pa. Don't forget the ICI. And then you've got the ombudsman. Triple whammy talaga to. He's gonna get hit from all sides. And what's really good about Ombudsman Remulla, kaya nung sinabi niya, walang pamumulitika dito. They will look at the evidence, they will follow the evidence. And unfortunately for Bongo, the evidence is strong. I mean, my God, how much stronger does it get? CLTG. Tapos yung isa pa, Alfrego. These two contractors are named, well, CLTG is named after Bongo mismo, Christopher Lawrence Wen, Christopher Lawrence Go. And then Alfrego is related to them as well with the Go. So talagang may ipit si Bongo dito either way, from the Ombudsman, the ICI, or the ICC. I'll tell you right now, if the way I see it, he's going to be in one of these jails. Either the one that's being prepared by the ombudsman or the one in the Hague. Either way, talagang ipitan na to. And I'm not sure if you want to talk about this now or you want to deal with this later. Ano? There is moves talaga right now that I think the Duterte camp is preparing because they know that this is imminent. Okay, and there are a lot of guilty parties within the Duterte party. On top of the ones from the BBM camp, meron ding mga guilty doon. But what I'm saying is, natatakot ang mga Duterte that there are a lot of moves behind the scenes to try to thwart these arrests, and these charges. So, but we can delve into that a little bit later when we talk about it.
Right. Ikaw, Mark, do you feel vulnerable? Kasi for me, like not long ago, Bongo, di ba? Very strong, number one selections. In fact, many were saying baka nga si Bongo wants to run if Sara doesn't run. I mean, I'm still not gonna underestimate him. I think, mahirap sabihin where things are gonna go, but clearly many people who are who are not necessarily on his side, I medyo they're smelling blood. But at the same time, parang ang dami kasi nangyari sabay-sabay. Si Joel Villanueva had this moment over the weekend. And then like, although si Jingoy nagtahimik na, but Cheese, I don't know, nagpapakit na naman ulit, ng linis-linis. I mean, hindi ba kaya too many things are happening at once? Or you think, Mark, this is finally the walls are really closing in on the Duterte camp? Kasi before that, parang mga bugbog, either admin-related people or yung mga people na not necessarily with the Duterte side.
Um, ano eh, ah, Actually, minsan hindi din ako makapaniwala nga na kumbaga they've been in power for so long and mamayagpag sila for so long. O tapos ngayon sisimula nang humabol yung batas sa kanila. Lalo si Senator Bongo, 'di ba? Kasi siguro kung sa panahon ni BBM, 'Di ba? Ang iniisip nila na pangalawang makapangyarihan daw si Romualdez. Ganun nung panahon ni Digong eh. Si Bongo eh. So anything na nangyayari nung panahon ni Duterte noon, lahat dumadaan kay Bongo. So lahat ng mga ina-allege na illegal, lahat ng mga kalokohan, lahat ng mga possible crimes, 'di ba? Kay Bongo dumadaan lahat. Kaya mahirap ding ihiwalay doon sa mga anomalya na nangyari nung PRRD admin itong si Senator Bongo. Ako talagang nalulula din ako sa atake na ginagawa nitong ni Sentry tapos yung sa ICC pa na hindi pa din ako makapaniwala hangga't mangyari na. Of course, Senator Bongo, maraming kumbaga maraming mga ace up his sleeves, 'di ba? Maraming nung panahon ni Digong, marami siyang natulungan na people in power, maraming na-appoint. So, kumbaga I don't count out itong si Senator Bongo. Tapos yung kanyang strategy has been working uh, yung mga hindi siya masyadong napag-initan dahil tahimik lang siya, hindi siya nakikialam dun sa Marcos versus Duterte. Pero ngayon, kahit tahimik pa rin siya, ito yung mga kaso niya, hindi pa rin niya matatakbuhan. And, tingnan natin kung saan tutungo to at baka nga there's a sense na parang mauubos yung nasa kampo ng Duterte sa kaliwat kanang mga kaso and lahat yun. Baka umabot sa punto na baka matira na lang nga si Senator Robin. Yan ang
Kasi maganda yung Sal-N niya eh. Mukhang legit yung Sal-N
yan
ni
din.
Robin eh.
Oo, di ba? Baka si Senator Robin na lang yung matira, di ba? Parang pa-chill-chill lang siya doon, pa ano-ano lang ng bigote. Di ba? Hindi yan, siya yung
Trip, trip.
matitirang hindi nakakulong doon sa kanilang kampo. Pero yun, tingnan natin kung saan papunta yung mga kaso.
Well, I mean, as far as accountability is concerned, and my best wishes here, no, if indeed there are really serious evidences here, let's see, and hopefully the institutions will work on it. Although a part of me feels Sentry is kind of a cloud nine siya ngayon dahil daming back-to-back losing streak ang mga Duterte sa ICC, di ba? Na-reject yung interim release, na-reject yung jurisdictional attack, mukhang talagang ma-archive na eh. I mean, it's very hard unless extraordinary circumstances. So, siguro, Senator Trillanes is smelling blood, no, Chris? Do you think he feels
Alam
this
mo,
moment? Yeah, like,
Alam mo, honestly, yes, he is smelling blood. And what I love about what Trillanes said, nung parang hinamon siya I think it was Pulong Duterte, was it Baste, di ba? Yung nag-comment sila about the dismissal or yung binasura yung kaso na nilaban nila kay Trillanes, is this, Sentry said na hindi nila naintindihan kung ano yung conviction ni Trillanes. Yung conviction niya. Sabi niya, nag-antay ako ng ganito katagal. At yung kaso, even with the ICC, he built up over what? 7 years. Inantay niya yan. Talagang sabi niya, I waited and I kept pushing. Sabi niya, kung tingin nila, hindi ako pursigida na gawin to. Nako, mas malala, gagawin niya to. At doon ako believe sa kanya. Kaya, this is how former Senator Trillanes got my respect. Yung commitment niya and conviction niya to see things through to the very end. Yun ang hindi kaya ng mga Duterte. Kaya talagang mali talaga yung nakalaban nila dito. Kaya I have a lot of respect for Senator Trillanes and I really support him in all of the cases he's filing.
if indeed he's going for the kill, no, smelling blood, kumaga parang sa boxing yan. Ito na, you're sensing the knockout. Ano kaya mga counter options? I mean, Mark, this is where we go to your favorite, sila Barzaga, nanggugulo. I mean, if you were to believe Ronald Llamas na first wave lang yung sumablay na Forbes, Occupy Forbes. But it looks like in the coming weeks, especially in November, there's expectation of some big, big developments will happen. Again, there's, baka daw malaking rally daw gagawin ng INC, baka daw manggugulo daw yung ibang pro-Duterte elements, whatever. I mean, doesn't that increase the incentive for something more dramatic to happen next week? Kasi hindi na, parang game theory yan, eh. Hindi mo na mahintay na ina-knockout ka ng kalaban. You have your counter moves, you have your options. Meron bang options sila, Bongo, Dutertes? I mean, if ever there's a rivalry between Sara and Bongo, I think this is now the time they all have to come together, right?
Mm. Hindi, yun nga ang problema if cornered na yung isang animal, di ba? It's most dangerous kapag cornered na. Kaya hindi mo alam kung ano yung kaya nilang gawin. And pag nagiging desperate na, o tapos pag syempre possible na mga funders nila na nanggugulo na, gusto magkagulo, gusto magka-destabilization dito sa Pilipinas. So, medyo kinakabahan din ako kasi yun nga lalo na't makita nila na walang lusot eh. Na alam mo yung sa ombudsman tatakbo talaga yung kaso, tapos yung sa ICC nararamdaman mo Senator Bato baka nag ano na lang eh, baka konting panahon na lang yung hinihintay, baka siya na yung next na makakasama doon sa ano eh. And ako medyo ano din ako yun nga kasi pag kunyari Senator Bato madala sa ICC, yung init nung galit nung mga nagalit nung unang dinala si Digong, mag-aano ulit eh, magpa-fire up ulit eh. So, dapat tignan din ng Marcos admin, mag-ingat. Kumaga mag-ano din eh, maging precautionary din, mag-ingat din sila sa mga galaw nila. If they could stop yung mga itinanong ko si Sentry noon eh. Tingin din niya masyadong soft yung Marcos admin pagdating doon sa mga nagpaplano ng kudeta, yung mga
Mhm.
nagdi-disturb. So dapat siguro medyo mas maging matigas na, medyo gamitan na ng ng kamay na bakal yung mga gustong manggulo. For the sake of the country din naman. Kasi pag nagtagumpay sila dun sa destabilization nila, yung ekonomiya natin babagsak, di ba? Yung bansa natin ang magkakaproblema, or mga casualties. So, wag naman sana mangyari. So, kumaga, tigasan na ni Marcos Jr. at ano na, ipakita na who's in charge. Yung soft up uh, sa akin maraming problemang ano eh, maraming problema ding dala-dala kapag hindi harapang hinaharap yung mga problema katulad nito. Ito hindi biro to eh kasi destabilization, some of them they're willing to kill, they're willing to
Mm.
sacrifice people para lang to save their skin. So sa akin ano na, yung soft approach ni Marcos Jr. might not be enough para pigilan or para i-handle yung situation na kung saan desperate na itong kampo ng mga Duterte.
So Chris, so basically the slow burn has its own virtues, pero siguro magmo-moment of truth na tayo. Ito na, tataya na ba? This is it na. Kasi if the other side is desperate, they have every reason, di umano, to destabilize. But at
Yeah.
the same time, it's not like Marcos can also, like just be complacent and everything will move in his direction. But he can also have preemptive preparations. I'm sure the military, DND, everyone's looking at all different angles here. Ikaw, what is your read, Chris, on this? Malapit na ba ang moment of truth?
So, right now, no, ito yung dalawang scenarios sorry, not scenario, excuse me. Ito yung dalawang angle that is going to either ignite this fire of revolution na gusto mangyari ng mga Duterte. So, yes, there are these stabilization efforts now. Tama si Mark dito na kailangan talaga si BBM hindi lang sa gawa kundi sa salita. The imaging has to uh, parang match the action. I believe merong ginagawang kilos behind the scenes to be able to thwart yung mga ganitong mga attempts for destabilization. Pero the messaging is as important. The image is as important. Kaya kailangan talaga magsalita na si Marcos at mapakita niya sa mga military na hindi papasa to sa akin, hindi to pwede, and I will go after anyone that even tries, from the retired generals to whoever is trying to parang make deals with anyone to try to take advantage of the situation. Ang nakakatakot dito, Richard and Mark, ay pumasok na dito yung iglesia eh. And I'm sure you've heard of this na Iglesia is planning to, they will mobilize, they will be there November 30, and they will try to bring out the, their followers, at ang gagawin nila dito is to try to sow this image that, and hoping na makasama, sundan sila ng mga taong bayan, na parang to call for the resignation of Marcos, of BBM. If they succeed with that, the military, or at least the retired generals that are, maybe they have their tentacles in the military, will try to convince them na, nagtawag na ang taong bayan na mag-resign si Marcos, kaya pasok na tayo. And then they will take advantage The word is take advantage, ha? Opportunists. Take advantage of the situation. Not for the people, not for our country, not for the Constitution. Gagawin nila to para sa sarili nilang self-interest, para lang makapasok at makabalik sa kapangyarihan ang mga Duterte through Sara Duterte. So naintindihan ng ating mga viewers, ha, yun ang problema ko dito sa gusto nila mangyaring revolution or junta government. Kasi gusto lang nila makabalik ang mga Duterte sa kapangyarihan. Dahil ang loyalty nila ay hindi po sa ating bansa, hindi po sa konstitusyon, hindi po sa kanilang mandato bilang military, bilang AFP. Ang ang gusto nila mangyari dito ay malagay sa pwesto si Sara Duterte kasi alam na nga ng mga Duterte na malapit na makaabot ang kamay ng batas sa kanila. At pag makaabot sa kanila ang batas, makukulong talaga sila sa lahat ng mga ginawa nilang katiwalian. Nakitang-kita natin eh. You don't even need to be anti-Duterte to see all of the crimes that Duterte, Sara Duterte, Bongo, and all of their cohorts have done. And again, dadagdag ko lang para sa mga DDS viewers natin, pati din ang mga kaalyado ni Marcos ay madadamay dito. Maraming madadamay at dapat lang. Yun ang palagi ko sinasabi na itong paghahabol sa mga katiwalian ay walang kulay, walang political party dito, wala putong sinasanto, walang sinisino. Lahat madadamay. Kaya yung paghabol, sina Duterte are trying to save their skin. But what people don't understand, mga DDS supporters dito, ang sana maintindihan nyo, ang gusto ni Bibi ang mangyari ay habulin lahat. At kasama din doon ang mga Duterte, senators, congressmen, at mismo si Sara Duterte. Yun lang ang katotohanan dito. Kaya wag tayong magkakaroon ng kulay, magkaisa tayo laban sa korupsyon para sa Pilipinas, para sa kaban ng bayan.
Aba, I'm
Sorry,
100%
I
with you.
got
I'm no, 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 no. I'm 100% with you, Chris. No, the reason say I said Aba is because I'm gonna discuss Enrile and Napoles and all that. A lot of them
No.
had a successful day. Mukhang maraming sa ating mga kaibigan ay medyo nakalusot na doon sa. I think Enrile will have a record of the most close call and then came over. But before I go to Sandigan Bayan, because remember, the ombudsman is the prosecution side of this equation. The Sandigan Bayan is the court that decides whether I know. So before I go to Sandigan Bayan, kasi for me there's a wrinkle in this. Mark, balikan kita dito. I mean, uh, just to remind folks, kasi every time na minimension natin yung mga Duterte, sabi niya, bakit? Gusto niyo ba itakpan yung mga kalokohan na nangyari ngayon? So I completely understand where Chris is coming from. Thank you, Chris, for making that very clear na by pointing out ano yung kalokohan ng mga Dutertes, hindi yan mutually exclusive. It doesn't mean na wag natin bigyan ng pansin ang nangyari ngayon. Ako naman, for me, it's very clear. Discayas, Zaldico, all of these kind of dodgy people would not have become such a big deal if not for the Duterte era. Kumbaga, yun yung original sin eh. Diyan nagsimula lahat ng big projects ni Zaldico, big project ni Diskaya. But having said that, Mark, I mean, you have your finger on the pulse of the people. Ano bang basa mo ngayon? Kasi marami, pati mga artista, biglang, yung isang artista sabi na, nasisira yung pangalan ng bayan pero matahimik to mga panahon ni Duterte. Hindi pala nasisira yung pangalan ng bayan natin nung time na libo-libo sa ating kababayan ang pinapatay, no? Biglang ngayon, biglang nasisira tayo dahil na-expose yung kalokohan. Masama pala yung expose. So, so dati na hindi na-expose, okay lang? Or na-expose yung EJK pero takot ka, hindi ka magsalita. But anyway, I don't want to pick fights, but my point is, marami nagsasalita na ilan buwan na yung mga buhaya ay free pa rin sila. So I had a technical debate on this. Remulla is saying you need 1 year to put consolidated cases together. But I think Justice Scarpio, other legal luminaries believe, no, you can do it way faster than that. Just a matter of few months. Attorney Conti the other day was saying, kaya yan within 2 to 3 months ka. You don't even need half of a year. But Mark, in terms of public opinion, in terms of ikaw kasi models of Manila. So in terms of sentiment among celebrities, progressives, uh, how are we doing in terms of time? Nagiging skeptical na bang tao? Magagalit bang tao? Are you worried na hindi lang magde-destabilize yung ibang grupo pero magkaroon ng spontaneous chaos or spontaneous expression of anger ng tao? Since so far, wala pa rin nakakulong eh. At kamusta pa lang mga diskaya?
Para sa akin hindi pa rin ako nasa point na natatakot na magtatagumpay yung mga destabilization or yung galit ng tao would pile up and then susugod ala Nepal, ala Indonesia. So, para sa akin, personally, medyo malayo pa rin tayo doon. Hindi pa rin makakapagtawag si Kiko. Like I said last week, hindi dapat pabayaan ng Malacanang yung messaging pagdating doon sa mga flood control cases. Yun, buti na mention din nga, palabas pa lang yung episode 3 with Mayor Magalong. At yun yung unang tinanong ko sa kanya. Mayor, kasi may mga tao din nalilito, ano ba talaga yung focus ng ICI? Ano ba yung goal talaga? Kasi masyadong mahaba yung 10 years, masyadong maraming mga infrastructure na kalokohan, baka sa sobrang daming gustong gawin ng ICI, doon sa binigay sa kanilang scope, baka naman sumabog, baka naman walang mapanagot and ano. Nasagot naman niya na ano pa din naman siya, he is confident naman doon sa leadership ng ICI, and he said na at least unahin yung mga ghost projects. So, at the last count ng DPWH, nasa 421. So, dapat unahin talaga yon. Kaso ang problema nga in terms dun sa mga tao, ang mauuna talagang kasuhan dyan, ang unang malalagay dun sa mga Quezon City Jail na pinapakita nila Secretary John Vic, puro contractor, puro DPWH employees. Puro yun ang malalagay. Yung mga politiko that might be yung mga proponent nila o yung mga ano, hindi pa kaagad makakasuhan dahil walang direct evidence leading to them. So, ang iniisip naman niya, kapag nilagay mo sa city jail, yung mga yung mga contractor tsaka yung mga DPWH na yan, baka wala ka pang isang araw, magsikantahan na yan kung sino yung mga padrino nila, kung sino yung mga proponent nila, kung sino yung inabutan nila ng pera. Kasi ngayon, syempre, hanggat walang nahahatid doon sa kulungan, medyo ano pa sila hindi pa ganun ka totoo sa kanila yung sitwasyon. Pero once himas rehas na sila, nandun na sila, Mayor Magalong is hoping na magsisimula na silang magsikantahan kung sino yung politiko. Pero yun nga, until mangyari yun, ang problema ng Malacanang, people from all sides, hindi lang DDS, kahit yung mga iba't ibang political na paniniwala are expecting results. Gustong merong makulong na mga politiko. They won't accept any result na walang politiko na nakukulong eh. So, dapat maging conscious din yung ano. Hindi lang to in terms doon sa destabilization. Kasi tingin ko hindi naman magsasucceed pa rin sa ngayon eh. Pero in terms of yung kanilang credibility, yung kanilang trust rating, yung kanilang kumaga yun ang maapektuhan kung walang makita yung mga tao na resulta itong ginagawa ng ICI tsaka ng Ombudsman and DPWH.
So Chris, I want to come back to you, no? I mean, after these interventions, I mean, are you optimistic that the ICI can handle the load of this? What are your concerns about this getting out of control? Kasi syempre, people are asking for blood and I completely understand. But how do you do it in a way na rule of law, reasonable, and at the same time, di ba? Meron siyang credibility.
So, ito yung problema ng ICI. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, if I remember correctly, that the ICI only has a budget of about 40 million pesos. Tapos yung staffing nila is very small. Ang liit ng staff nila to be able to handle all these cases, to be able to even investigate every single flood control issue. Flood control pala pinag-uusapan natin. Imagine mo yung load of evidence, documents, and investigations that they have to do with the limited staff and the limited budget, mahihirapan talaga sila. So, ang nakikita kong problema nila dito ay because of that, baka nga ang mangyari ay hindi nila mahabol lahat ng kailangan habulin. So, if that's the case, kailangan they should go for the top tier ones. Yung pinakamalaking kaso, yun ang unang banata nila. Yun ang dapat malagay sa kulungan agad-agad. Set an example. Mark, ang naisip ko talaga dito, no, ay yung mga politiko kasi may iba naman na may direct evidence na may sinabi na bigyan, ito ang binigyan, ito ang tao ni gano'n, and you know that that's the person, and they even can tell you the time, the place where it was given. Some have text messages, screenshots, and they can easily subpoena Global Smart to actually be able to send the text or call logs. Kayang-kaya yun. They have the authority to be able to do that. Hindi ko lang alam sa mga apps kung kayang gawin yun, ano. But in terms of evidence, marami na. There's enough to be able to put in jail some of the politicians. There has to be politicians that are going to go to jail. Kung wala, then lalabas talaga sacrificial lamb na naman itong mga contractors at itong mga DPWH officials. And like you've seen in the past, in the last decade, ito yung nakita natin problema sa mga kasong to. Tulad ng NBN-ZTE deal. Sino nakulong doon? Meron? Meron. Isa, yung whistleblower. Okay, si June Lozada. Siya lang ang nakulong. Yung sa customs, yung sa smuggling, di ba? Humarap si Mark Taguban, or Taya. Oh, ano nangyari sa kanya? Customs broker. Sinabi niya lahat, yung MO, ito yung ginagawa nila, nakipagkita siya Tita Nani, connected with sina Pulong at saka yung kaibigan ni Pulong at yung buong Davao group. And what happened? Did anyone go to jail? No. Who went to jail? Si Mark Taguba. Yun lang ang nakulong. And he's in jail for what? 40 years. For what? Speaking the truth. Yun ang nakakatakot dito. At syempre, I'm sure pag-uusapan naman natin yan later on na yun na nga ang nakakapagod sa pinapanood natin eh. These cases are gonna take forever, tapos makakalimutan ng taong bayan, and then suddenly, silently, quietly, discreetly, biglang acquitted. O kaya, poprolong nila yung case for as long as possible, like what's been happening, until eventually, kailangan na lang i-dismiss.
Yeah, I mean, which is exactly where I go to it. Like, you just had Enrile. I mean, of course, I'm sure that these are all amazingly innocent people. Like, let's just go through the list of the names of all. Come on, like, I mean, come on. It's like, ito. Okay, ito Ito yung mga acquitted acquitted on the 15 counts of grafts were Enriles, hindi lang Enrile, Deputy Chief of Staff Jose Antonio Evangelista, the former DBM Undersecretary, Relampagos, DBM employees, multiple of them. And then, of course, I think you also see there a certain private individuals like Christine Lim Napoles, James Christopher Lim Napoles, Evelyn De Leon. I mean, like, come on. I think even sa mga Marcos ill-gotten wealth related issues, there were 12 victories recorded over the past year. I mean, Sandigan Bayan is doing a fantastic, no, sir? I mean, Mark, Chris, I mean, they're doing a very good job of offloading. But
Sana ganyan din sila kagaling pagdating sa mga ano.
Si Jejo Marbinay also acquitted. I mean, I'm
Acquitted.
sure these are all acquitted. Ang taas ng acquittal rate, napakagaling talaga tong Sandigan Bayan natin.
Ano lang, babanggitin ko lang na nakausap ko lang si Sen Kiko. Just this morning, we were chatting this morning.
Oh, please go ahead.
And alam mo, sabi ko kay Sen Kiko, ano ba ang tingin natin dito sa judicial system natin? And Sen Kiko is the chair of the Judicial Committee, if I am not mistaken.
Justice Committee, yeah.
And sabi nga niya na he spoke to one of the Supreme Court justices. And he did tell them na, hey, alam mo yun, the people are losing faith. He was very direct with one of the Supreme Court justices that the people are losing faith in our judicial system. At then, dito ko na binanggit sa kanya, sabi ko, alam mo, Sen Kiko, if you can relate this to our Supreme Court justices, na kung hindi umayos ang ating judicial system, wala nang tiwala ang taong bayan. Walang nakukulong sa mga korap. Wala. At kung meron, anong ginagawa ng previous administration? Anong ginawa? Pinardon pa. Sus Maria Jose, pinakulong na pinardon pa. Tapos, nung nagkaroon na bago administration, nangyari, tuloy-tuloy ang mga acquittals. Ayun ang problema. Right? And he said, and this is what I love about what Sen Kiko told me. Sabi niya, Chris, I'll tell you, that the justices are people like us. And guess what? They hear the people's clamor. They know what the people are saying. They are not in a bubble. Hindi sila immune sa mga naririnig nila at nararamdaman nila yung galit ng taong bayan. Kaya ito ang panawagan ko sa mga nanonood sa atin ngayon at ikalat nyo sa mga ibang tao na huwag kayong mawawala ng pag-asa at sumigaw kayo sa social media, magkomento kayo sa mga iba't ibang mga video, mga posts, mga news articles at pipaalam natin sa mga to na hindi tayo papayag na binabastos nila ang hustisya sa Pilipinas. Yung mismo judicial system natin ay binabasura na para sa mga mayayaman. Alam nila yan. Alam nila yung ginagawa ng mga Court of Appeals, mga Sandigan Bayan, and mismo the Supreme Court. Kitang-kita naman yan eh. And they know that we are watching them. Kaya importante that we do not stop watching. Do not stop showing your indignation. Kailangan marinig nila to at naririnig nila to. Sabi ni Sen Kiko sa akin na as long as nakatutok ang taong bayan, we remain vigilant, mag-iingat to mga to. And here's the thing. Uh, Di ba sinabi lang ni Tito Soto, Senator Tito Soto, he made a comment about this. Sabi niya, alam niyo kung bumaliktad ang Supreme Court natin at magkaroon sila ng ano yun, mag-grant yung motion for reconsideration sa impeachment ni VP Sara, kikilos ang Senado. I believe that's a foreshadowing.
I mean, kasi tinaitan yung rules. I know there was this tabad petition against me for questions. I don't want to go.
You're gonna end up in jail.
Wala na, basura na yan. Yung petition, mali-mali pa nga yung mga GR number nila. Anyway, aside from that, like, the thing people are saying is that tightening the rules against around impeachment may not have sent the right signal. Kaya nga, we're all really, with all due respect to the Supreme Court, are hoping that there will be a good decision on the motion for reconsideration. Or at least I'm glad na so far hindi na struck down yung mga MRs. Kasi I think if na strike down yan the other month and then we're here, yung issue ng kumpiyansa sa ating judicial institution, we would have probably been in a much more suboptimal position. So I know at least some Supreme Court justices are following us very closely, etc. So I hope nakikinig sila and they understand na umaasa talaga kami sa kanila. The same way na umaasa tayo sa ombudsman. Remember, lahat yan justice system, hindi lang naman yung judiciary. Like, the same way na we're encouraged by some of the things that Ombudsman Remulla is doing, some of the things DOJ is doing. We're also hoping the Supreme Court and the judiciary also help the momentum of this. So tama si Kiko eh. Ikaw, Chris, na-impress ka nung sinabi ko. Aren't we impressed enough by Kiko? Kaya tuloy, Team Kiko lahat bigla. I'm just kidding. In fairness, Kiko has really stepped up. No? I wanted him to be the Blue Ribbon Committee Chief. But Lacson is back, Mark. So what's your read of that? Confident na ba si Tito Soto to bring back Lacson?
Oh, actually nagulat din ako doon eh. Hindi ko din in-expect na na this soon makakabalik agad. Akala ko mag-name sila ng another Blue Ribbon, although wala sigurong may gusto. No one wants the responsibility na mag-handle ng Blue Ribbon kasi kahit paano mo gawin, merong magagalit sa'yo na isang faction o isang grupo eh. Pero siguro it shows na medyo mas secure ngayon si Tito Soto sa kanyang hawak sa Senate presidency. Although siguro kasama dyan yung paminsan-minsan you have to defend the Villars. Sabihin niya na wala namang si Cynthia. May mga ganun-ganun siguro. Pero mukhang secure naman sa Senate presidency si Tito Sen. And this is good kasi matutuloy ni Senator Ping Lacson yung kanyang investigation. At alam natin kung paano humahawak ng pag-iimbestiga. Patapos na siya doon sa Bulacan eh. Papunta na siya doon sa ibang mga lugar bago siya napigilan and kasi it became too close to home, di ba? Pero gusto ko idagdag doon sa sinasabi ni Chris na talagang naapektuhan yung mga iba yung level ng shame campaigning ngayon eh. Sa social media, doon sila naapektuhan. Kasi wala naman yan nung panahon ni Napoles eh. Ngayon, lahat sila nasa social media, lahat sila nasa...
Meron Friendster. May Friendster.
Pero karamihan siguro ng politiko noon wala naman ngayon lahat nasa social media, buong pamilya nila nasa social media. Hindi sila makapag-flex, hindi hindi makapagyabang kung ano man yung pinaghirapan nila.
Mark, pwede na maglinis ng mga pinggan ganun. Pwede naman, 'di ba?
Di ba si Pacquiao kanina, pinakita yung kanyang mamahaling relo. Sabi niya, hindi galing sa flood control yan. Kailangan may disclaimer na lahat. Kahit na pang flex ng mga... Which is good. Which is a step in the right direction. Yun, so starting doon. Pero sa akin, I think kailangan sumunod din yung transparency sa ating justice system. For example, sa Sandigan Bayan, dapat siguro mas... pinopost nila, update ng mga cases, update ng mga
ayaw nila
sa ombudsman eh.
Baka ayaw nila
yun nga eh.
Joke lang.
Diba,
Yung ano.
ano yung sa ombudsman na sabi ni Martires, ayaw niyang ano, masira yung masira yung reputation ng tao pag nilabas niya
Ano, may
yung
secret
kanyang
decision siya kay
ruling.
Joel pala, di ba? May
Oy,
secret decision pala yung
Oo.
ombudsman. Imagine mo, yung mga
Oo.
ganyan pang
Hindi niya
secret
nilabas kasi daw
decision.
baka daw ano ba, pero ganun pala 'yon, dapat pala pinoprotektahan yung mga politiko para hindi mabash siguro online. Pero yun, ang sumunod doon yung transparency sa mga korte, sa Sandigan Bayan. Ombudsman araw-araw na nagpe-presscon eh. So medyo okay na tayo doon kay Ombuds. Pero yung Sandigan Bayan dapat nagbabantay din tayo eh. Nasa na ba yung mga kaso?
Mm.
Nasa na ba yung mga, diba? Nasa na yung mga ah kumbaga sino na yung ilan na yung kasama, ilan na yung nakasuhan. Tapos ayun, mas we should kumbaga look for more transparency, demand transparency in all aspects ng gobyerno, sa justice system, sa paggawa ng budget. Yun din yung
Mm.
isang na-discuss namin kanina. Dapat bago ma-approve yung 2026 budget, yung mga public works, may present muna sana sa mga tao, sa mga probinsya, o ito yung public works nyo 2026 ha. O pagkatapos nun, kapag ginagawa na yung mga projects next year, yung mga contractor dapat nag-update din sa mga Facebook nila. O ito na yung ginagawa naming mga projects dito sa lugar ninyo. So may mga ganong simpleng steps for transparency na dapat nating i-demand kasabay nung pang-shame natin doon sa mga kurakot ng mga politiko. And I think meron lang ding ano I think ang isa din na-discuss ko din kanina na bakit parang wala masyadong atensyon, hindi masyadong parang nakalimutan ng tao, hindi pinapanagot si Secretary Bonoan. Parang galit tayo sa lahat, galit tayo
That's what I'm
sa
saying. Like,
Congress, galit tayo sa Senado, galit tayo
confused tayo eh. Yeah. That's good point. Very good
o parang
point.
si Secretary Bunuan parang walang hindi siya napapagalitan, hindi siya na parang nakalimutan na. Huwag nating kalimutan, 'di ba? Siya yung namumuno ng department na 'yon nung nangyari lahat 'yan. So isa yun sa mga tinanong ko din
Mark,
kanina kay
sorry, I
Mayor
disagree with
Magagawit.
you. I disagree with you. Di ba pinagalitan siya ni Jinggoy? Nung sabi, mahiya naman kayo, kadiri kayo, di ba? Um, naalala mo yung may hearing sa Senate? Hindi ba si Bonoan yung pinagalitan ni Jinggoy? Well lang, Mark, nakalimutan na ba si Jinggoy? Parang nawawala si Jinggoy. Nakita ko mga meme ni Jinggoy, yung mga inaaway niya si Zamora. Parang mga, ano yun eh, mga back in the memory trail, ano eh, flashback mo. Nasaan na si Jinggoy? Tahimik na siya. Where is he?
Hindi, siguro kanya-kanyang kanya-kanya silang ano sa likod operate sa likod eh. Naman, pare, pinagsamahan natin. Tol, kanya-kanya
Baka
kumbaga
naman.
Tol, wag muna sa akin. Si ano muna 'yan, no, mas kurakot 'yan, no. Baka siguro mga kanya-kanya silang anong ganun.
Grabe. Mark,
Iba-ibang style
si
eh, 'di ba?
Ronald
Si
Llamas ka na.
Joel, di ba si Joel pang ilang anniversary nila 'yon? 47th ba? Parang alanganing number, usually 45th o 50, doon yung malaking event eh. Parang alanganing number, 47, nagparally silang malaki para doon siya magsasalita, doon siya magpapakita, show of force. Diba? Kanya-kanyang way yan to cope dito sa mga allegations ng corruption sa kanila.
Wait, so what do you think of the Joel's moment of truth? Grabe yung kanyang sonorous speech. Were you convinced, Mark? Lalo yung meron siyang video na, eto, resibo, lumalaban ako para sa transparency. Ito, talagang nakita niyo, wala beyond reproach daw yung kanyang commitment to good governance. Mark, were you convinced?
Hindi eh. Kasi Bulacan yung Bulacan yung ground zero talaga nung yung mga flood control projects. Doon talaga yung ang daming nakikita. Doon yung sentro nung mga Blue Ribbon. Yung mga tao na kumbaga tingin na possibly guilty si Senator Joel, hindi lang sa isang all camps lahat ng side Parang meron ng ganong impression na ano sa kanya. And dahil nga sa kanyang relationship dito kay Alcantara, kumbaga too many puzzles fit into each other na para mahirap ano yun yung mga tao. And siguro will try na ganyan, show of force, pero wala hindi mo, unless sa akin tumulong siya Tumulong siya. Yun kasi naman yung mga kapag ikaw yung tinuturo na ano, 'di ba, na guilty or ano. Madaling sabihin na hindi ako kasama diyan, hindi ako nandiyan. Pero mga nangyari sa baluarte mo eh. Anong ginagawa mo para panagutin yung mga ano doon? So kung talagang wala kang kasalanan, dapat ikaw mismo yung nagli-lead. Ikaw yung nag-expose. 'Di ba kung si Senator Ping nagawa yung expose na yan, hindi naman siya taga Bulacan, ikaw pa yung taga Bulacan. And yung I think ang importante kay dito is yung kay Senator Joel, yung sentimiento ng mga taga Bulacan, which is ngayon very highly negative against him. Kasi yun ang plano dapat eh. Mag-governor siya,
Governor.
the Villanuevas will take over Bulacan, o magiging baluarte nila, o tapos bago siya bumalik sa Senado siguro, kaso nasira yung plano niya and yung image niya. And I think hindi, yun nga, the only way na para to really change yung perception ng public is pag ikaw mismo yung humabol doon sa mga gumagawa ng kalokohan sa lugar mo, which hindi niya magawa.
Chris, where is Joel in your calculus? Safe na ba si Joel? Safe na ba si Jingoy? J&J? Safe na ba si...
Absolutely. Absolutely not. They're still definitely in hot water. Siguro si Jingo, yun na nga, kaya nananahimik lang ngayon para matanggal yung attention sa kanya. Pero again, yung mga hearings kasi ng ICC, hindi nga natin naririnig ngayon. Hindi natin alam kung nasaan talaga ang usapan ngayon. Pero definitely, Jinggoy and Joel are still very close to a lot of these things because remember, sa lahat ng mga senador sa lahat ng senador, sino ba ang nabanggit ng mga DPWH executives? Si Jinggoy at saka si Joel. That's it. Are there others? Parang wala akong maalala. Well, former. Si
Bong,
Bong Revilla. Right. But aside from that, Bongo, nabanggit, di ba? Si Bongo. Pero
cheese.
si Cheese, right. And that's it. Wow, isn't that interesting pag tinignan mo yung mga nabanggit, ano? Okay, so you're seeing the problem here. And I think Joel at this point again, ang hirap i-deny yung katotohanan. Although I have to admit na I remember kasi there was parang 2 years ago, Joel Villanueva was actually the one of the first few that actually talked about flood control. At sinasabi nga niya na
Yun
saan
yung video
napupunta
niya.
nga. Oo, so parang interesting lang na, wow, lumalabas ngayon pala that there's a possibility, allegedly, that he may be the beneficiary of it. And the evidence is strong. So mahirap i-deny because remember when was it Alcantara who mentioned that nagbigay siya kay Joel? Through yung tao ni Joel, right? There's documentary evidence showing na magkasama sila. There's evidence with regards to the amount that was given and then the actual project that it was for. Nakikita mo yan sa budget ng DPWH eh. So, lahat to fall into place. Kaya Joel is in a lot of hot water and he can call upon his God to save him or his flock, but again, evidence will lead to where it's going to lead. And with the way Ombudsman Remulla is talking, tingin ko kung may makukulong sa mga senador, si Joel at si Jinggoy, yung dalawang unang makakasama dun sa hinahanda nilang red and green prison na para sa mga flood control convicts.
Wait. So, you're not convinced na pwedeng gawin katulad sila ni Mark na, di, ako nga nag-investigate, kaya victim ako ng black propaganda dahil akong nag-expose sa mga kalokohan. This is a setup. This is a conspiracy. Hindi, sa tingin mo, hindi obra yan? I mean, magaling naman siya mag-explain, di ba? Ako ay isang biktima ng conspiracy kasi ako nag-expose
Yeah.
ng Flood Control Ghost Project.
Yeah, alam mo the problem kasi right now, and this is something that we've been talking about, Marcus mentioned it several times din, yung perception. At malaki yung labanan sa perception at kung ano yung public opinion. And our government officials will act not just on evidence but on public opinion. Kaya yung labanan on the airwaves, on social media is so important. Because if the government feels na parang, oy, teka lang, parang maraming kumakampi kay Jinggoy, wala kung sino bang kakampi kay Jinggoy, to be honest with you. Okay, or kay Joel, baka they might shift the focus somewhere else. May ganun yan. So, nagka-calculate din itong mga to. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be the case. It should be based on evidence, completely legal. But let's face it, the fact is, all of these actions have slight political inclinations. And that's just how it is.
So where does that leave us, Mark? Meaning yung mga hindi team kadiliman, hindi team kasamaan, yung mga hindi ghost project, hindi ka diskaya, like, okay, so anong gagawin natin ngayon? Like, what should we do? What is the way forward?
Bantayan. Hindi, yun nga, tama naman yung direction so far, 'di ba? Wag bitawan yung init nung pag-monitor sa corruption, and yung target lawakan pa natin lahat ng mga tina-target natin, and yun, lawakan, look for transparency nga sa projects, sa contractors, sa mga politiko, sa budget. Tapos yun, kailangan tuloy-tuloy lang, and isunod na yung mga ibang area. Kasi sa ngayon, 'di ba, ilang areas na yung ginagawa ng kaso, and I think apat pa lang yung nagagawa nila, Mindoro, Bulacan, La Union, Davao Oriental. So isunod na yung mga ibang mga riyon, isunod na yung mga ibang mga lugar. And ang dami pa niyan. Ang dami pa. Ang tanong nga kanina is, meron bang district ang DPWH na matino na hindi gumagawa ng kalokohan? Ibig sabihin, kung malinis, kung matino yung DPWH sa district na yon, mas mura dapat yung mga gawa dun sa distrito nila. Kasi kung hindi, pare-pareho sila ng modus lahat eh. So, wala pa tayo sa katiting nung dami ng mga lugar na iniimbestigahan, and nasa flood control pa lang tayo, and nasa isang departamento pa lang tayo. So, ang dami pang susunod. Nag-enjoy naman yung tao, yun naman ang maganda. Dahil kunyari siguro yung yung inis nung Pinoy minsan diyan nila binubuhos sa mga kurakot na ano. So, nag-enjoy naman tayo kapag merong hinihiya ng mga kurakot, ituloy natin kasi nasa phase 1 pa lang tayo. DPWH pa lang, a few provinces pa lang pinag-uusapan natin. So, lang, tuloy-tuloy lang natin itong momentum nitong ginagawa, and ayun, and sana mag-translate sa 2028 na bumoto na ng mga hindi corrupt, kasi baliwala lahat ng ginagawa natin. Boboto tayo ng corrupt, we're back to square one na naman.
So
Kakalat na naman yung...
how to do that, Mark? That's a very important point, and I also want to go and get Chris' point of view before I also share my little 2 cents on this. I mean, does this mean I mean, mabango ulit ang mga kinos in many ways. In many ways, I think this thing, BAM is doing very well. I look at the Pulse Asia survey. BAM seems very palatable, different side. I mean, if you're BAM now, you can also look at the even higher office. Kiko D. Aquino also very much at the front and center of civil society activities. Hindi katulad ng mga Nepo kids dyan sa Kongreso. Talagang walang bahit na duda sa kanilang integridad. Yung mga katulad ni Kiko D. Aquino. Bam also walang question sa kanyang integridad, at least in terms of good governance. This is a person who has been multiple times in very high positions in the Senate. Do you think na dapat magkaroon ng clarity whereby, I don't know, Bam, Kiko, Risa, well, I don't want to talk about Lenny anymore because I want her to focus on her great constituency. I want to be unfair, but at least Kiko, Risa, Bam, I mean, these are people who are national level leaders. Do you think they should openly say na baka gusto niyo kailangan niyo katulad namin, or do you think it's better for them to still leave it to church and civil society? Kasi I know ayaw rin nilang
Ginawa yan kanina,
eh.
di ba? Yung event.
How do you balance that?
Sorry.
No, please, sorry.
Actually, that's kailangan nga balansehin ng maayos eh. Kasi you don't want to sound too masyado mapagmataas na, uy, kami lang yung hindi corrupt, kayo yung ano. Kanina may event sila, di ba? Nag-attend si General Torre doon sa Liberal Party event na kung walang corrupt, walang mahirap. So ano kaya ibig sabihin nun? Pero they're doing events like that. And I think, it's one thing pag maganda yung ginagawa ni Senator Kiko at Senator Bam. They are nakatutok sila dun sa problema ng korupsyon at flood control. Kumbaga they are doing they're contributing dun sa effort ng korupsyon na yun. Pero meron silang sariling lane na pinopokusan na where they could achieve yung something na sarili nila. For Senator Bam, kasasabi lang ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, magiging priority yung education. 'Di ba? That's not an accident na yan yung naging focus ni Senator Bam, yung education. Siguro kinakausap nila yung Pangulo na ito kailangan to, yung severity ng problem sa classrooms. That is something that Sarah should have done when she was DepEd, di ba? Yun dapat ang tinutukan. But bakit si Senator Bam yung nakakagawa ngayon? Yun yung tututukan ng BBM admin, mga LGUs na yung gagawa ng mga schools, which is, I think, kesa naman sa ngayon, 22 classrooms ang nagawa out of 1,000 na in order. So, si Senator Kiko, like I said, I wish na mas kumalat pa yung advocacy niya for farmers kasi yun ang talagang peligro talaga ngayon. And buti na din hindi siya nag-blue ribbon kasi kailangan siya ng mga farmers, kailangan habulin yung mga smugglers. Walang ibang boses na kasing ingay ngayon pagdating diyan, yung presyo ng farm gate price ng mga bilihin, yung laganap na talamak and yung smuggling, ganun din eh. Parang ano din eh. Parang open secret din siya, parang flood control din. Yung mga kalokohan nung pagdating sa smuggling and sa agri. So walang tututok diyan. So si Senator Kiko nakatutok diyan. And while helping yung efforts ng flood control. And of course, Senator Risa, tuloy-tuloy naman yung kanyang ginagawa mga investigasyon. I think sa health, tututok din siya. So may kanya-kanya silang lanes. I think that's how you fix the problems of the nation. When you have leaders like that, they could lead by example. And yun, and sa akin, yung pagdating sa publiko naman, maganda, dyan papasok, I think, yung mga celebrities, mga influencers, iba pag sa kanila nang galing eh. Hindi ko alam ba't ano eh, pag talagang sa kanila nang galing. Siguro sa church din. Iba pag sa kanila nang gagaling. Yung nag-explain sa tao, nag-ano, na kumbaga it counters yung malakas na disinformation channels nung kabila. So, yung mga celebrities natin, they're doing their share. They're also helping yung fight against corruption. Yun, I think hopefully that would all come together para sa 2028. And siguro ano din, ang isang mahirap lang din na maalis na kultura yung vote buying eh. Yan din yung inano ko kanina kay Magalong. Kasi I was asking him about mayors for good governance. Isang topic din namin yun. Di ba marami silang tinanggap ng mga bagong mayors. Pinag-usapan namin paano nila ano yung vetting process. Pero ang isang problem nga, at isang maging dapat non-negotiable din, is wala dapat nagbo-vote buying on an LGU level, which is mahirap kasi buong bansa ngayon. Siguro yun ang isang magandang target din na kailangan pag-isipan din natin as a nation dahil galit tayo sa corruption ngayon. Pero how do we stop? Pero hindi natin sinusumbong yung vote buying na nakikita natin harap-harapan tuwing eleksyon. 'Di ba? Tahimik lahat. Ayaw mo magalit yung kapitbahay mo pag sinumbong mo na tumatanggap ng ano. So, yun ang isang I think that's isang pwedeng target natin for 2028. Aside doon sa gusto nating ma-elect na nasa taas na president, vice, and senators is yung problema dun sa vote buying. Kasi sa ngayon, talagang ang hirap pa rin isipin kung paano ika-counter yon at kung
Very
paano
good point.
mapipigilan yon.
Very good. Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you so much, Mark. Chris, I'm okay. Hindi naman ako hyper masyado, no? See, I'm very moderate. I'm very balanced. Baka dapat ganun ako, no? Si Chris kasi, he has a gentle way of saying, ayan ka na naman, Richard, nakakape ka ba ng masyado or something? So, not too much Italian coffee. No, Chris, I want to ask you on this kasi I absolutely agree with Mark na bawal epal, right? You don't want to be an
Yeah.
epal. Except you also have this reality na may mga epal talaga who are gaining traction now. Again, I don't need to say na Kiko Barzaga yung pangalan or kung ganito ganyan. But the reality is that people are sensing opportunity and opportunists are making the most out of this opportunity. Of course, you can always say, yeah, Richard, come 2028, wala na yung mga epal na yan. People are gonna remember Kiko Bam. Yes, I'm willing to be correct on that. But at the same time, I think there's also a reason why Risa would still reiterate na bukas siya to be the standard player. How do you strike that balance? I mean, what is your read of the landscape and what do you think will work? As much as I agree with Mark na, yes, maganda rin yung mga celebrities are speaking up. Although sana they also spoke during time of Digong when all the EJKs and everything was happening. But never mind. Ikaw, Chris, where do you stand on this?
Sorry, are you referring to the presidential election in
Yeah,
2028
like
or are you
basically Project 2028, right? There's so clearly like basically the implied message is you tried Duterte, you tried Marcos, ginusto niyan, may chance ba kayong ayusin to sa 2028, right? I mean, let's be
Right.
honest, let me just spell this out, right? But for me, it's not very clear na papunta tayo dyan automatically kasi in the meantime, ang dami mga epal, ang dami rin pwede mangyari.
Yes.
Baka hindi nga mangyari 2020 election. We never know. So, in short, I'm saying, bawal epal, pero bawal rin ang complacent.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, with regards to that kasi, alam mo, yung nakikita natin dito, there's a lot of grandstanding happening. And like you said nga, I don't want to give any air or any airtime to any of these people. But there are a lot of grandstanding happening, especially with a couple of the young ones that we've seen in Congress, for example. At nakikita mo dito, there's a lot of opportunists that are trying to take advantage of the situation. Ah, alam mo, para sa taong bayan, sa ating mga kababayan, ang payo ko lang sa inyo lahat ay kailangan talaga mas matalas tayo mag-isip. Huwag tayo nadadala sa mga emosyon, huwag tayo nadadala sa mga grandstanding at yung mga ganitong mga kilos na iisipin mo na, oy, may parang different tong taong to. So, wow, papakinggan ko siya. Let's not uh, parang allow ourselves to be taken by the theatrics and the performative shows that you see there. And mind you, I'm gonna spell it out. Pag nakita mo kasi yung mga influencers ng certain camp, you be the judge. May mapapansin ka, kadalasan yung mga yan performative. May theatrics. Ikaw na magsabi. Alam mo na kung sino to mga to. And you'll be like, oh nga, no? And they're all within one party or one group. And nakikita kasi na gumagana yan sa mga tao na nanonood. Kaya pakiusap ko lang, please talaga, umayos tayo sa pag-iisip natin because we will decide what will happen in 2028. Now, who will be the standard bearer for the true opposition? That unifying opposition. Hindi natin masasabi sa ngayon. This is also fluid right now. And I do believe, and I think we all agree on this, na ang mangyayari talaga in 2028 when it comes to this is that whoever the standard bearer will get the support of everyone outside of the Duterte circle. That's what will happen.
Interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. Ako just last 2 cents on this point is, I know sometimes people naiinis, ayan na naman si Richard, self-righteous, ganitong ganyan. No, ang akin lang naman, we have to have a filtration mechanism. Hindi pwede magpapudol tayo, di ba? If we allow anyone to just suddenly take up the mantle of moral leadership and pagod governance and all, how can we differentiate between budol and real? Kaya nga dapat vigilant tayo. I think it's very important to call out people who are clearly just trying to pa-cute, pa-pogi here, performative. Yes, I do agree that in politics there is always an element of performativity because you need to get attention. Pero there's a substantive type of performativity. Kumbaga, yes, you can get attention pero meron kang K, di ba? And then meron talaga yung mga opportunista. And then there's something even worse, di ba? Yung mga ibang tao, sinasakyan ng issue na to, wino-weaponize pa itong issue na to push for a nefarious, destabilizing kind of agenda. So, three types yan di ba? And eventually, I think sometimes if you call out budol, maybe these people are not really budol-budol. Maybe you encourage them to be more substantive. So you can, maybe some of the celebrities who were quiet before, now will feel na, oh, they have to do more. They should have done more. Baka they'll be even more contributing. I mean, I like the arc of, the redemption ni Vice Ganda from going all out supporting Digong to now, very clear about her support for progressive pinks. I like that. And I want to see more of that, right? And then at the same time, to be honest, I'm still not sure about this because sa isang banda, tuwang-tuwa ako na, for instance, remember, parang Bam, Bam was, in a way, parang, Kiko D is taking up the cudgels for the Aquino family. You would have said automatically, dapat Bam yun. So, Bam is creating a space for other members of the great Aquino family to step up. I think that's beautiful. I think that's great. I think that's a very good, parang kuya factor, di ba? Go ahead, carry the mantle. It shouldn't be just Bam Aquino lang. Siya lang. I like that. I like that si Kiko is not even mentioning anything about 2028. He's very focused on his work. I like that even with Riza, she's just saying bukas siya may
Yep.
standard bearer. She's not saying I should be the one. And in a way, actually, I still appreciate the humility and focus of Lenny to say, ayoko muna pag-usapan ng national politics. Marami akong trabaho dito. I like all of that. Having said that, wala tayo sa isolation eh. Many things could happen in the coming months. Many
Mm.
opportunists are making the most out of this. So I know there's a risk of being epal. I know there's a fear of ayoko maging epal. And I know there's a fear na parang I don't want to put the cart before the horse. But at the same time, I think as the walls are closing, the stabilization could be over the horizon. Marcos is desperate to create a coalition. I think there's really an opening here. Kaya nga feeling ko, this is the moment for the third force. Eh. And if they play their cards well without being fully epal, maybe risk being a little bit epal here and there, baka you can create that momentum talaga for 2028. In fact, even before 2028, if within a year from now, lame duck na si Marcos, he will already need that third force and the pings to survive it through until 2028. So, sa akin, nasasayangan ako, but more worryingly, natatakot ako if the moment is not maximized, baka the moment will pass again. Yun ang worry ko ngayon. So again, I know the risk is baka maging epal tayo, baka maging pinopoliticize nyo ito. But I rather err on the side of caution in that sense because I think this is an opening and baka hindi na siya opening 1 year from now or so.
I want to comment on that, Richard, na ganito lang yun eh. I don't think you need to push the narrative of anyone at this point because nga it is so fluid. There can be there's several names sa pwede maging standard bearer at this point eh. Here's the thing that I believe will happen. I believe that between now and 2028, there will be a turning point. Some catalyst, an event, may mangyayaring ganon, that will catapult one person to that limelight. Something that will happen, something that will be said or done, will suddenly bring this one person to the front line, and then you're gonna realize, ito na yun. And then everyone's gonna be like, that's the one. So that I believe will happen. And believer ako ng flow eh. Na naniniwala ako things will flow the way it should be and where it's gonna be. And we might be surprised within the next 2 years. Biglang may lalabas siya na parang, oh, eto na yun. I mean, think about it. When Pinoy ran for president, he wasn't planning to run until his mother died. And then suddenly, talks happened and said, ikaw na ang tatakbo. And as much as I will say it again, I think I've said this enough times. I didn't vote for Pinoy. But looking at his track record, I am glad he became president. I did not expect that from him. I was one of the biggest skeptics on kung ano ba yung magagawa ni Pinoy. But man, he put the right people in place. He had the right heart. At dahil nga doon, first time, we were on track to be, okay, one of the Asian leaders in terms of GDP. We were on track. Na-sidetrack tayo dahil kay Duterte. Kaya yung trajectory natin sa GDP growth natin, pag ganyan na, biglang pop, gumanon ulit. So ngayon may pagkakataon tayo na makabalik at become one of the tiger economies of Asia again.
Mark, I want you to close this, but can you also respond? Like, ang response ko is very quick, no? Like, the difference this time is that Sara Duterte is still the front runner by far. The difference this time is, unlike all the different times, ready na yung isang side. Every survey number shows close to a third, whether Gen Z, whatever Gen. Kumbaga, medyo solid contender ng mga Dutertes as we speak eh. So, I just don't feel the historical precedence will work eh. Because back then, Arroyo was very, very unpopular. Gibo was not in competition. Yes, there was the Villar factor, but nevertheless, diba, Villar never had the kind of solid base momentum that Sara Duterte has. So, ako, the reason Chris, I saying, yes, I'm all for arc of history and fate and all of that. But I believe you also have to make it work. I mean, there's this expression where it says, blessing from the Lord, action from you, right? There is going to be a blessing from the Lord, whoever is going to have that manna of heaven to be our next president. But you have to make things work. You have to create the conditions for that. And Chris, I completely also agree with you. Dapat talaga, hindi pilitin yan. So, ako ang proposal ko is, why not see more Bam, Kiko, I don't know, no, Cardinal David, Reese, group as a group come together. Not like Risa saying or Kiko saying, like come together and make it clear. kami ang alternative nyo. I'm not gonna tell who you're gonna choose, but kami ang alternative nyo. I mean, of course, in the case of Colonel David, it's not political, but in the sense that, don't worry, may pag-asa ang Pilipinas dahil nandito kami. Hindi kami perpektong tao, pero alam nyo yung track record namin, hindi kami corrupt, para sa good governance kami. So, Chris, I completely agree with you. I just wanted to clarify, my idea was not to Karen your way through, but to actually remind people there is a force. And the reason I'm saying that, last point is, I like the fact na nung last, yung trillion peso march, binigyan ng oportunidad yung mga kaibigan natin, celebrities, etc., non-political people, to set the tone. Although Vice Ganda, I think, went a little bit too far. But I think that cannot be forever the case. I think sa mga susunod na rallies, as things get tense, sana makita natin, people have to see who are the leaders, who are the alternatives. Because Sara is saying, I'm running for president, I'm here, and she probably has a third of the country already behind her. Yun yung concern ko. Because we're not in isolation and this time is different. Mark, last point, I think you can
Tama
basically,
yung
yeah.
tama yung concern mo. Ako, uh, we should accept kung ano yung reality that's happening now on the ground. Dalawa yung klase ng galit sa corruption ngayon eh. Meron yung galit sa corruption, tapos gusto sa 2028 mag-elect tayo ng mga hindi na corrupt, mga who would change the system. Meron ding mga galit sa corruption, pero gusto nila gantihan si Marcos dahil sa corruption, tsaka dahil doon sa ginawa kay Digong. So, para sa akin, importante na yung candidate na ilalaban against Sara, kung makatakbo man si Sara sa 2028, yung winnability talaga eh. So, importante na that person could kayang kumuha ng mga moderates. I think yun yung thrust ko ngayon. The anti-Dutertes, definitely, kahit sinong itapat mo na politiko na basta matino kay Sara Duterte, they would go for that person. Pero yung mga moderates na kasi hindi lang corruption ang issue eh. Hanggang ngayon ang issue pa rin is like peace and order. Yung illegal drugs sa lugar nila na kumbaga these are concerns talaga from ordinary people. So maybe doon papasok siguro yung mga katulad nila General Torre or to handle yung mga issues na yon. Plus I think wala akong nakikitang effort pa rin masyado from Malacanang or for any opposition for that matter na ligawan yung nasa Cebu pababa. Cebu and buong Mindanao. Uh, I was hoping sana President Marcos would have learned this lesson from the last elections. May budget naman for Mindanao, which is same naman every year. Pero yung kailangan mo iparamdam eh. Kailangan mo you need to show, kumbaga mas ipamukha mo sa kanila eh na for so many years napabayaan ng bansa yung Mindanao. We understand your concern. Ito yung mga projects para makahabol kayo sa inyong economy, sa inyong peace and order and all that. So medyo yung Mindanao Railway, parati ko sinasabi. So wala pa rin ako nakikita masyadong effort to win doon sa baluarte ng mga Duterte, which is Cebu pababa, the Visayan speaking provinces. So I think more efforts. Siguro papasok din yung mga celebrities din and yung mga opposition din. Bigyan ng atensyon yung Mindanao, yung BARM, yung nangyayari sa BARM, na usog na naman yung nila, hindi kasing sa news, 'di ba? Hindi ganun ka-sexy sa news or sa pero maraming issues na nangyayari sa BARM and different parts of Mindanao, outside of Davao, sa Cebu, dami ding nangyayari. So, ayun siguro wala akong nakita masyadong effort to try to win back a certain portion nung area na yon. So, ayun, the moderate DDS,
You mean
the
you mean
Visayan
soft
speaking
DDS?
provinces.
So by moderate you mean soft DDS and siguro non-partisan people, no? Kasi just to
Yeah, yung
clarify, yeah.
hindi sila hindi
Non-aligned
sila
and soft DDS maybe at most,
they
something
just
like
like Duterte siguro for do sa kanyang peace and order. Pero not necessarily
right.
the whole lahat ng talking points ng DDS dala-dala na nila, 'di ba? Kasi yung mga taong gano'n, wala na tayong magagawa talaga doon. Pero yung iba siguro kasi gusto ko lang or like the OFWs. 'Di ba? Yung OFWs, ang perception sa kanila nung panahon ni Digong, mas ligtas yung mga kaanak ko sa Pilipinas. So yung mga ganong segment ng population natin na kailangan i-target, kailangan bigyan pansin kasi yung anti-Dutertes, they will vote dun sa candidate with the best chance of beating Sara kapag natuloy sa 2028. So, yun.
I think that's a perfect segue, hopefully, for next week also with Jess joining us. Kasi let's talk about it. I think a grand coalition is almost inevitable. There's just no way to beat the Dutertes based on all the numbers and data we have, unless magkaroon ng somehow some sort of unity across different sections of the society and voter base. So I think that's a serious discussion. No? I think Chris, Mark, all of us agree, no, na you cannot dismiss the Dutertes. Although you never know, right? Maybe she'll be impeached, whatever. But hindi clear. Nothing is clear. So in the meantime, you do what is smart, and what you do what is smart is you already assume tuloy-tuloy yung Duterte momentum. So to play safe, and then you respond accordingly. So maybe next week, pag-usapan natin what are the contours of a grand coalition, what are the conditions, how to
Mm.
make sure it's principled, how to make sure hindi na naman to magpapadala naman tayo. Kasi ayaw rin naman natin na just to vote someone dahil lang hindi Duterte. That's not, I think, also good for democracy. Or just anyone, basta dahil mataas siya sa surveys. Because I believe it's much more complicated than that. There's machinery, mobilization, and as Chris correctly pointed out, may mga tao na lumilitaw out of nowhere. I mean, where was Kiko Barzaga 5 months, 4 months, 3 months ago, right? Although I wonder if 3 months from now he'll still be the EPAL he is. But on that note, thank you very much, Chris. Thank you very much, Mark. Parating towards the end ng discussion natin, umiinit bigla talaga. No? I like that. I love it. I like the build up. Nung una, medyo maganda, punditry, analysis. And then towards the end, I think people are reminded na all of us we are doing this. Hindi lang dahil we like vlogging, it's because we love our country and we want to do something good. And sana naman maintindihan ng tao, even if you disagree with us, I hope you understand our interest here is to raise the level of discussion. I'll tell you this, Chris, I learn from our discussions. I don't come here and saying, yeah, dito ako para lang sabihin gusto ko. Whether people believe it or not, I really enjoy our discussions and makes me think and rethink what I thought was correct. O nga no, or de, feeling ko may point ako eh, or de, mali talaga ako eh. So I really appreciate this. I hope it has also been as educational to you folks. On that note, thank you very much. Have a lovely day and catch up next week. Marami tayong pag-usapan, guys. God bless. Salamat.